Red Mud and Rain by Wambui Machua. I grew up in the village of Gashie on the outskirts of the capital city Nairobi in Kenya. When I was an infant, my parents decided to build their own house and move from Nairobi to this suburb village. When it rained, our mode of transportation was the Morris, our family vehicle. I recall the Morris like yesterday because of the embarrassing moments I suffered. One time the battery went dead, which brought the car to a screeching halt right in the middle of the muddy road from our house. To restart the engine, we pushed the car through the mud, in vain. Imagine having to get to school, braving the weather, trotting wet. Muddy ground is taxing on school uniforms and the glossy shine of my leather shoes. Yes, red mud and rain have always been part of my experience. Memories I will one day share with my children, like those mornings preparing for work. I dress carefully, and in the bathroom mirror, my reflection smiles back as if to say, "You look good." Today, my choice of clothes is a recent purchase of a pink sweater with matching pumps, black skirt, and nylons. I admiringly take one last glance in the mirror before hitting the road. Pleased with myself, I spring towards the front door with a whistle on my lips and spring in my step. Opening the door, I am met with a blast of torrential rain. The word "shit" slips through my lips, once pursed with a joyful whistle. Now I have to change my shoes. I retreat back into the house and contemplate the situation. First, I exchange my pink pumps for rain boots, place them in a plastic bag with my nylons. I will need to decide the shortest route and direction to take on roads defined by puddles of mud and worse, minefields of dog feces. God forbid if I should slip or slide into an assault of fecal matter, due to my field of vision impaired by what this walk usually does to my olfactory senses. The road I choose will converge with others and nonetheless convenes into more struggles and sloshing in what feels like a collected pool of the whole world's mud. Not exactly how I envisioned starting out my morning, dressed in pink. Choosing the road with significantly less mud, slush, and feces, I delve into the elements. Rain boots on, umbrella in hand, plastic bag over my shoulder, I tread self-consciously with each step. The runny, reddish slush is widespread. Balancing on the little red mud hills that peak between slush, I find the mental and physical stamina required draining. I decide to simply wade through the slush, resigned to the idea if I fall, turn for home to change and start all over. I make it through the experience without incident and now faced with two more choices. Wait for the local bus or take other popular means of public transportation, the matatu. This mode of transportation has a history that unfolded during my childhood in Kenya. Matatus are large or small private cars that have been turned by their owners into public taxis. Today, the matatus have their role as the country's premier mode of transportation. Back in the day, matatus were plagued with safety issues, mainly because the operators packed passengers beyond capacity limits, and additionally, lax laws allowed them to repeatedly bribe the traffic police with a 20 or other nominal amount when caught speeding or beyond the capacity amount. On a rainy day like this, the bus will be crammed full from previous stops before it ever gets to me, and the chances of stopping are slim. Even if I get on the bus, I still have to try and stay clean, but women travelers with huge baskets on their backs are not interested in my concerns on their way to market day to sell their goods. Under these conditions, decorum is not their strong suit. The futility of my attempts to avoid physical contact could very well irritate one of them and elicit, "Who does she think she is? All nice and clean. She thinks she's better than us." In my mind, I ran through any number of possibilities that may result in my clothes getting dirty. The matatus are faster than the buses. I highly doubt one will be on standby waiting for passengers in this downpour. Giving up on the bus will mean I have to walk 3 miles to meet a matatu halfway on its way to Gashie Shopping Center. This is a normal occurrence. When it rains, passengers ignore the designated waiting areas and walk to intercept the vehicles on their way to the shopping center. We do this to avoid the rush and fight for a seat that ensues when the taxi is spotted. There are no polite waiting lines or etiquette. It is first in, first get a seat, survival of the fittest. I have managed to survive 5 years of this fighting since high school, but I'm wary now. If I am unable to successfully catch a matatu, I will have to walk the treacherous 3 miles in mud to the next small town, River Road. This town has a paved main road that leads into the capital city, Nairobi, where I'm headed. I will wait at River Road at least 30 minutes before deciding to walk a further 2 miles to the Hospital Hill High School. The buck stops here with me. If I fail to get a matatu at the high school, which rarely happens this far out, I will turn around and go home. Never mind that I haven't called in to work as there are no payphones around. The high school is my point of return. By then, I am terribly late. I am disheveled, perspiring under my pink sweater, and the effects of being nice and clean are lost. I'm lucky. I get a matatu at the high school, but I have to stand. I congratulate myself on making it inside the vehicle, as it is better to stand than not get in at all. The engine of the matatu jerkily starts, and I quickly steady myself with the knee of a man sitting and glance out the window. Many passengers who didn't make it into my matatu have to either keep walking or turn around and go home. But they are probably the lucky ones. We are packed like sardines, and my nostrils are assaulted with the commingling body odors of heavily sweating men. Suddenly I feel something jabbing my gluteus. I turn around, but quickly turn back. Yuck! It's the man behind me. He has sprouted a Thompson's that is not only unnerving, but disgusting. Urgh! When will this matatu ever get to Nairobi? I can't take much more of this. I try as much as possible to squeeze my way out of the man's direct proximity. Squeezing around, I get cold stares from other passengers in niches they have carved for themselves, as they probably pray like me to get to Nairobi safely. Lord, I guess I have to deal with it, but no, I don't. Why do I have to? This monologue reverberates in my head as the matatu screeches to a hurried stop and some passengers disembark. With an inward sigh of relief, I manage to squeeze into a spot previously occupied by another, while a heavily set woman with a pock-marked face squeezes herself into my former spot. Ha! Let's see how he deals with that one, I think to myself, swallowing my barely disguised laughter. Once in Nairobi, I have to switch matatus to another going a further 10 miles. At least this leg of my journey is easier. The roads are paved and decorum a little more respectful. However, my rain boots are covered in red mud and I feel little pieces of mud lodged between my toes. Upon arriving to work, I will have to clean my legs and feet before I can put my nylons and pink pumps on. As we ride, in my peripheral vision, I see and feel the stares from commuters cleaner than myself, probably wondering how I managed to get so dirty so early in the morning and in red mud. Looking around at the faces, my suspicions are confirmed, but at this point, I don't care how I look. I just want to get to my job. The second matatu gets me to my workplace, Banesa Industries Limited. I am late and wonder what to tell my boss, Mr. Mohan Singh. We call him Moni. I am his administrative assistant and the company's receptionist as well. Staff are terrified of money, and I am no exception. Late is late no matter what. I check in with the company accountant James and make my way outside where I start to clean my feet. This is where Moni finds me. Hi, Wambui. I can see you in the cleaning business, he says. I can think of no adequate answer to give him that would accurately display my emotions at that precise moment, and I respond with a simple and short yes. Moni takes one quick look at me and leaves me alone. Now you can see why moving out of Gashie village is an absolute necessity. My thoughts are now on my plans to live on my own. I'm scared. Not at the thought of moving out and living by myself out there in the world, but of what my mother will say. I have identified a potential one-bedroom studio apartment within walking distance of my job, talked to the owner, and bought all the necessary appliances for my new abode, which I have hidden under my bed. Sometimes I wonder if my mother knows, but she rarely, if ever, goes into my bedroom. But if she does this time, oh well, my clandestine activities will be in the open. Gathering courage, I tell my mother in on my little secret, mainly to move closer to work. Her reaction is a huge surprise. Of course, I understand, she says. I have seen you struggle to get to work, and I'm all for it. I am dumbfounded at first, and then overjoyed. I had no idea my mother realized what a struggle it had been for me to get to work or to socialize with my friends because of where we live. We agreed to visit my new apartment the next day. When we opened the door, her eyes light up. She loves it. It consists of one large room and a bathroom that actually has hot showers. In my very creative mind, I'm already doing the decor. I'm moving 2 weeks later, and then the real fun begins. South Bay is an interesting place. I have made friends quickly with my peer neighbors and joined the social scene, which I never had an opportunity to do while living in Gashie. Now Nairobi is only 10 minutes away, and I'm within walking distance of my job. On sunny days, I get up and take a leisure walk to my office, and when it rains, I hop on a matatu that drops me off almost at the doorstep of my office. Sometimes the company car picks me up in the morning and drops me off in the evenings. Life is now good. In the beginning, I visit home every weekend, but slowly the frequency has dwindled to twice a month. But my mother and I still speak every day. We now enjoy deep conversations. Being the only girl, my parents had been strict with my upbringing, and I had always been subjected to a very rigid curfew of 6 p.m. whenever I had dared to leave the family home to visit or watch a movie with my friends in Nairobi. How time flies. With absolutely freedom, an interesting but ironic dynamic has occurred. I seldom want to go out as much as I did while living with my parents. My days are spent at work. Evening and weekends are spent on household chores. I don't own a television, so I spend a lot of time reading and writing, which I love. A practice gained and refined due to lack of social amenities while living in Gashie. Occasionally on Sunday evenings, my friends and I get together and go dancing at a local disco. As my new routines become more settled, I'm starting to feel restless, a bit bored. I need something fresh and exciting to keep me occupied. 2 years later, an unexpected, most exciting business opportunity takes me to Oregon, USA to sell African art. Eventually, I end up living in Portland, but excitement turns to frustration when a greedy American businesswoman named Mina Darrow steals my African art, money, and Kenyan passport. Left with no identification, no money, or anyone I know, I am now what would be considered homeless in America. I have faith. However, my luck begins to turn when an acquaintance introduces me to a Kenyan fellow who then introduces me to 2 Kenyan women who take me in. I live with these women and their children and try to sell what little artwork I manage to salvage from Mina's house before being kicked out. Eventually, I make friends, rent out a basement, and try to make ends meet. A surprise call from Mina's neighbor informs me that he has secured my passport from her and wants to return it to me. I am overjoyed and full of gratitude. My mother at the time in Kenya calls me. I have a letter from the American consulate. I ask her to visit and bring the letter. She does, and it's more good news. I have won the green card lottery. I can apply to be a resident in the US. I feel blessed. I start my life in the US, get married, have a daughter and buy a home, and also start a food business. But I never forget my childhood home. I take my daughter to visit when she's 5 and then again at 12 in 2015 when a team of volunteers and in collaboration with Rotary International to distribute 100,000 donated books to over 30 local schools to encourage them to start their own libraries and to keep the reading and writing culture alive. The Shia village has changed. Now a town with electricity, running water, and paved roads, but still no social community amenities. Remembering my childhood as a bored youth, I resolved to change this, and the concept of the Gashia Development Center is born. We are now in the process of raising funds to build the first ever community center with guest housing, a commercial kitchen, and a 4-lane swimming pool. I am back in Gashia, where the red mud and rain helped shape the woman I am today.